Nestled between the lush green hills of Luonyanza, where the waves of Lake Victoria gently kiss the shores, there stood a village where tradition, love, and desire mingled like the winds. This was the village of Koyu, a name whispered in every hut, sung in every dance, and spoken in every longing glance. He was tall, with the grace of a lion and the strength of a stallion, a handsome man whose dark eyes seemed to see through the soul. He had the charm of a prince, and with every smile, women's hearts fluttered and men looked on with envy. But for all the praise and admiration Koyu received, he was not a man easily captured by the charms of the village maidens. There was one who held his heart, the woman who had his deepest affections, Achieng, a daughter of the village, blessed with beauty and wisdom. Her name, like the sun, illuminated the darkest parts of the village, and her laugh was like a melody that soothed every weary soul. But, as with all great loves, their bond was not without its challenges. Achieng was everything Koyu could ever want. She was beautiful, yes, but more than that, she had a sharp mind and a courageous heart. Her family was well respected in the village, and her parents, both respected elders of the Luo community, had always dreamed of a prosperous future for her. Yet, in their eyes, Koyu was a mystery. Handsome, yes, but his reputation was marred by his hidden past, a past that neither Achieng nor her family fully understood. Koyu was often torn between the life he longed to live and the responsibilities imposed upon him by the traditions of his people. His mother, a wise elder, often told him that the path of love was fraught with both joy and sorrow. She advised him to choose wisely, but what did wisdom mean when desire burned so fiercely? The sun was setting on the horizon, casting a golden light over the village as the preparations for the harvest dance were underway. The festival was an annual event where families from all over the village gathered to celebrate a bountiful harvest. It was a time of laughter, music, and most importantly, dancing, where the young men and women came together to form bonds that could last a lifetime. It was at this dance that Kyoyu's life would take another dramatic turn. Among the young women present, there was one who watched Koyu from the shadows with a burning intensity. Awino. She was beautiful, no doubt, with her long flowing hair and sharp features, but it was her ambition that set her apart. Awino was the daughter of a powerful family, and her father, a wealthy chief, held influence over many in the village. She was the one everyone expected to marry the village's most eligible bachelor, and she knew it. The problem, however, was that Koyu's heart belonged to someone else. Awino had been aware of Koyu's attachment to Achieng for quite some time, but she was not one to back down from a challenge. She had been raised to believe that anything she desired could be hers, and Koyu was no different. The fire of competition sparked within her. She would not allow a village girl to steal what rightfully belonged to her. On the night of the harvest festival, Awino approached Koyu. Her dress shimmered under the firelight, a blend of modern elegance and traditional Luo design, with beads that clinked like a melody with every step she took. She was bold, confident, and full of intent. She smiled as she met his gaze, and Koyu, ever the gentleman, couldn't help but return the smile. "You look captivating tonight," she said, her voice smooth and enticing. Koyu bowed his head slightly, his eyes never leaving hers. "Thank you, Awino. Your beauty is as striking as the stars tonight." Their conversation flowed easily, but it was laced with a sense of competition. Awino knew how to use her charm, making Koyu laugh, drawing him into her world of seductive promises. He found himself intrigued, but his heart was already with Achieng. Back in the village, Achieng was busy preparing for the dance with the other women. She wore a vibrant dress of bright yellows and reds, symbolizing her family's strength and resilience. Her hair was braided carefully, and a necklace of beads passed down from her ancestors rested delicately on her neck. She looked every bit the image of a traditional Luo woman, strong, wise, and proud. As the evening began, Achieng stepped into the village square, her eyes scanning the crowd for Koyu. When their eyes met across the fire-lit dance floor, her heart leapt. But there was something in his gaze that unsettled her, a hint of uncertainty, a flicker of something else. She approached him, her footsteps firm. As she reached him, the music seemed to fade into the background. There was a moment of silence between them before Acheng spoke, her voice gentle but filled with the wisdom of someone who had been raised to understand love's complexities. Koyu, she said softly, is there something you're not telling me? Koyu looked into her eyes, and for a moment he was lost in her. But then the image of Awino flashed in his mind, and his heart felt torn. How could he choose between the woman who had always been by his side and the one who now stirred something dangerous within him? Achieng, I don't know what to say, he replied, his voice betraying his inner turmoil. Awino's influence was beginning to take root, but Achieng wasn't one to shy away from confrontation. She wasn't just going to let their love be torn apart by rumors or the machinations of a woman like Awino. You don't have to say anything if you're not ready, Koyu, she said, her voice steady. But I will not allow anyone to come between us. Not now, not ever. The tension in the village grew as the days passed. Awino, relentless in her pursuit of Koyu, began to spread rumors about Achieng, whispering to the elders about her unusual behavior, suggesting that she might not be as devoted as she appeared. These whispers reached Koyu's ears, and though he wanted to dismiss them, the seeds of doubt had been planted. One evening, under the cover of darkness, Koyu and Awino met in secret. Awino's charms had completely enveloped him, and for a moment he allowed himself to be swept away in the thrill of the forbidden. They talked, laughed, and shared moments that should have been reserved for someone else. In that moment, Koyu's heart began to betray him. He kissed her, a kiss that burned with the heat of desire and guilt. The next day, Achieng confronted Koyu, her heart broken and her eyes filled with the sorrow of betrayal. You kissed her, she said, her voice trembling with pain. Koyu was speechless. The guilt crushed him, but he could not deny what had happened. I'm sorry, Achieng, he said, his voice weak. I didn't mean to hurt you. Achieng stood tall, despite the pain she felt. You have hurt me, Koyu, but the question now is, what will you do about it? Will you choose the woman who uses deceit to get what she wants? Or will you stand by the woman who has loved you with all her heart? The village held its breath as the story of Koyu's betrayal spread like wildfire. The elders called for a meeting, and Koyu was summoned to answer for his actions. He stood before them, facing the weight of his culture's expectations, and he knew he had to make a choice. Achieng had always been by his side. Her love was pure and unwavering, but she was not one to be treated as a fool. Awino, on the other hand, had given him a taste of a different world, one filled with intrigue and excitement. But was that the life he truly wanted? In the end, Koyu realized something that he had long feared. Love was not about choice alone. It was about sacrifice, and it was about trust. He couldn't betray the love that had been built on the foundation of years of respect and understanding. On the eve of the next full moon, the village gathered once more, this time for the final festival of the year. Koyu stood before Achieng, his heart heavy but resolute. With the entire village watching, he took her hand and without hesitation declared his love. I am sorry, Achieng, he said, his voice filled with the weight of his decision. I choose you. I always have. The crowd erupted into applause, and as the music began to play once more, Koyu and Achieng danced together, their love reaffirmed. But in the shadows, Awino watched, her eyes burning with the fire of defeat. For now, the battle was over, but the war for Koyu's heart had only just begun.